The Cauldron of Curiosities would like to welcome the merry month of May. We're exploring the hedgerows of Cornwall and looking at how these trees and plants can help with self-care and intertwine a weaving of stories, poems and songs that resonate with where we live. The Battle of the Trees. I have been in a multitude of shapes before I assumed a consistent form. I have been a sword, narrow, variegated, I will believe when it is apparent. I have been a tear in the air. I have been the dullest of stars. I have been a word among letters. I have been a book in the origin. I have been the light of lanterns, a year and a half. I have been a continuing bridge over 80 acres. I have been a course. I have been an eagle. I have been a coracle in the seas. I have been compliant in the banquet. I have been a drop in a shower. I have been a sword in the grasp of the hand. I have been a shield in battle. I have been a string in a harp, disguised for 9 years, in water, in foam. I have been sponge in the fire. I have been wood in the covert. I am not he who will not sing of a combat though small, the conflict in the battle of Godot of Sprigs against the Guladig of Prydain. There passed central horses, fleets full of riches. There passed an animal with wide jaws. On it there were 100 heads, and a battle was contested. Under the root of his tongue, and another battle there is, in his occiput, a black, sprawling toad, with 100 claws on it, a snake speckled, crusted. 100 souls through sin shall be tormented in its flesh. I have been in Caer Vevenir, thither hastened grass and trees. Minstrels were singing. Warrior bands were wondering at the exaltation of a Brython. The Gwydion affected. There was a calling on the Creator, upon Christ for causes, until when the Eternal should deliver those whom he had made. The Lord answered them through language and elements. Take the forms of the principal trees, arranging yourselves in battle array and restraining the public, inexperienced in battle, hand to band. When the trees were enchanted, in the expectation of not being trees, the trees uttered their voices from strings of harmony. The disputes ceased. Let us cut short heavy days. A female restrained the din. She came forth altogether lovely, the head of a line. The head was a female, the advantage of a sleepless cow. Would not make us give way, the blood of men up to our thighs, the greatest of importunate mental exertions. Sported in the world, and one has ended from considering the deluge and Christ crucified, and the day of judgment near at hand. The alder trees, the head of a line, formed the van. The willows and the quicken trees came late to the army. Plum trees that are scarce, unlonged for of men, the elaborate medlar trees, the objects of contention, the prickly rose bushes against a host of giants. The raspberry brake did what is better failed for the security of life. Privet and woodbine, and ivy on its front, like firs to the combat. The cherry tree was provoked. The birch, notwithstanding his high mind, was late before he was arrayed, not because of his cowardice, but on account of his greatness. The laburnum held in mind that your wild nature was foreign. Pine trees in the porch, the chair of disputation, by me greatly exalted. In the presence of kings, the elm with his retinue, did not go aside a foot. He would fight with the centre and the flanks and the rear. Hazel trees, it was judged, that ample was thy mental exertion. The privet, happy his lot, the bull of the battle, the lord of the world, Morog and Morid were made prosperous in pines. Holly, it was tinted with green. He was the hero. The hawthorn, surrounded by prickles, with pain at his hand. The aspen wood had been topped. It was topped in battle. The fern that was plundered, the broom in the van of the army. In the trenches he was hurt. The gorse did not do well, notwithstanding that it overspread. The heath was victorious, keeping off on all sides. The common people were charmed during the proceeding of the men. The oak quickly moving, before him tremble heaven and earth, a valiant doorkeeper against an enemy, his name is considered. The bluebells combined and caused a consternation, in rejecting were rejected. Others that were perforated, pear trees, the best intruders, in the conflict of the plain. A very wrathful wood, the chestnut is bashful, the opponent of happiness, the jet has become black, the mountain has become crooked, the woods have become a kiln, existing formerly in the great seas, since was heard the shout. The tops of the birch covered us with leaves, and transformed us and changed our faded state. The branches of the oak have ensnared us from the Guachan of Muelder, laughing on the side of a rock. The Lord is not of an ardent nature, not of mother and father. When I was made, did my Creator create me? Of 9 formed faculties, of a fruit of fruits, of a fruit of a primordial God, of primroses and blossoms of the hill, of the flowers of trees and shrubs, of earth, of an earthly course, when I was formed, of a flower of nettles, of a water of a 9th wave. I was enchanted by Math before I became immortal. I was enchanted by Gwydon, the great purifier of the Brython, of Eurus, of Euron, of Modron, of 5 battalions of scientific ones, teachers, children of Math. When the removal occurred, I was enchanted by the Guladig. When he was half burnt, I was enchanted by the sage. Of sages in the primitive world, when I had a being, when the host of the world was in dignity, the bard was accustomed to benefits, to a song of praise I am inclined, which the tongue recites. I played in the twilight, I slept in the purple. I was truly in the enchantment with Dylan, the son of a wave, in the circumference, in the middle, between the knees of kings, scattering spears not keen, from heaven when came to the great deep floods. In the battle there will be 80 hundreds that will divide according to their will. They are neither older nor younger than myself in their divisions. A wonder, Conir, Arkborn, every one of 900, he was with me also, with my sword spotted with blood. Honour was allotted to me by the Lord, and protection was where he was. And if I come to where the boar was killed, he will compose, he will decompose, he will form languages. The strong-handed gleamer, his name, with a gleam he rules his numbers. They would spread out in a flame when I shall go on high. I have been a speckled snake on the hill. I have been a viper in the linn. I have been a billhook crooked that cuts. I have been a ferocious spear. With my chasuble and bowl I will prophesy not badly. 80 smokes on every one what I will bring. 5 battalions of arms will be caught by my knife. 6 steeds of yellow hue, 100 times better is. My cream-coloured steed, swift as the sea mew, will not pass. Between the sea and the shore, am I not preeminent in the field of blood? Over it are 100 chieftains. Crimson is the gem of my belt, gold my shield border. There has not been born in the gap that has been visiting me, except Goronwy. From the dales of a Dree, long white my fingers, it is long since I have been a herdsman. I have travelled in the earth before I was proficient in learning. I travelled, I made a circuit, I slept in 100 islands, 100 cares I have dwelt in. Ye intelligent druids, declare to Arthur what is there more early than I that they sing of, and one is come, from considering the deluge and Christ crucified, and the day of future doom, a golden gem in a golden jewel. I am splendid and shall be wanton from the oppression of the metal workers. This text was copied from Middle Welsh from an unknown source by a 17th century Welsh scholar called John Davies of Malwyd. I'm probably pronouncing those bits wrong, and I apologise to anyone who is listening. It says that this is an Englyn's, a traditional Welsh and Cornish short poetic form that may be related to the Battle of the Trees. You may have heard of a lady called Lady Charlotte Guest, and she said that these are the Englyns that were sung at the Cad Godw, the Battle of the Trees, or, as others call it, the Battle of Acren, which was on account of a white roebuck and a whelp, and they came from hell, and Amathon Abdon brought them, and therefore Amatheon Abdon and Aron, king of An, which is meant to be hell, fought. And there was a man in that battle, unless his name were known, he could not be overcome. And there was on the other side a woman called Acren, and unless her name were known, her party could not be overcome. And Gwydion Abdon guessed the name of the man, and sang the two Englyns following. Sure-hoofed is my steed impelled by the spur, the high sprigs of alder are on thy shield, Bran art thou called, of the glittering branches. And you may recall that the first tree that we introduced in the merry month of May is the alder tree, and the alder tree represents Bran of a Mabinogion. I hope I said that right. Apologies again. I do try.